Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar. Today we're talking about the power of informed decision making. We'll just give everyone another minute to join. We've got a few stragglers, so give everyone a minute and then we'll get going. If you have any questions today, there is a section in your GoToWebinar client that says questions. You can access it in the top right. Please use that to ask any questions you may have. Otherwise, we'll get started in just 1 minute. Okay, let's get going then. So thank you for taking the time to come to this webinar. This is a rerun of a session that I actually did at an event that we attend twice a year. It's an event called Project Challenge, and it's for PMO and project professionals to get together and see what tools, what organizations are talking about. So I ran this live at that session. So this will be a bit of a rerun of this, but for a web-based audience. So today we're talking about the power of informed decision making and really the data-driven organization. So we'll have a little conversation about what that means. There'll be a poll just going through in a minute just to ask you how you do stuff now. But really what this is all about is no guts, no glory, right? So that's kind of the segue, the intro to this. What is data-driven decision making? Is it gut-based? Is it instinct-based decision making? Or is it something a little bit more than that? Now, given that you're attending this webinar about the power of informed decision making, I think you might have a little clue or a little insight into what the answer might be. But here's a quick poll for you. Let me just start this poll. How do you currently make decisions in your organization? So I'll start a poll. And if you wouldn't mind just having a little vote on there, we'll see what the outcomes are, see what people think. Interesting. There's a good mix across here. All right, so let's just share those results. So actually, it's a fair split. So some people are pure gut feeling, some people use hard facts and analysis, and some people actually do a little bit of both. Now, this presentation is going to give you some insight into why there is a place for everything in your organization in terms of decision making, why gut is sometimes a good thing to do, why relying on empirical data is sometimes a good thing to do. So actually, I think that a combination of those two things is a good thing to look at. Now, according to some studies, more than half of Americans interviewed in a poll rely just on their gut to decide what they believe, even when they're given evidence that speaks to the contrary. And I'll share the source of that stat in a little bit. That's slightly worrying number, though, right? More than half of 1,000 Americans interviewed said, "No, just gut. That's all I rely on." So who am I? Well, I'm Lester. I'm the head of practice here at CPS for our modern work management practice. That means I look after the team of consultants who implement Project Online, Project for the Web, work management tools. And at CPS, we focus specifically on the Microsoft technology stack. If you want to connect with me, my LinkedIn QR code is up there, or you can just search for me, Lester Lovelock, on LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with me and set up any conversations you might want to ask, or any questions you might have after this. Or you can just email me on my CPS email address, also on screen. Now, if you see a tiger, it's probably a reasonable instinct to just run away. So a good example there of gut-based decision making, instinct-based. But on the other hand, modern commercial life has kind of only emerged in the past few hundred years, and realistically, not much has changed until the advent of computing and data. But we're not well adapted to living in a data-driven world at the moment. And kind of as we move into the fourth industrial revolution, where the emergence of artificial intelligence and robotics and biotechnology and quantum computing, the question is, are our instincts enough, or do we need to do a bit more than that? You might recognize these faces here. Mr. Einstein himself said that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the concept of intuition has become kind of romanticized in modern life, so much so that it's now a part of how many people talk about and understand the geniuses of our generation. So Einstein quoted that, and in business, Steve Jobs is quoted as saying, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, because they somehow already know what you want to become. And even though intuition can be a helpful tool, it would be a mistake to base all of our decisions around just gut feelings, which leads us kind of to the alternative, which is the purpose of this webinar today. What is data-driven decision making? So data-driven decision making, it's a real tongue twister today, involves using things like metrics, information, and facts obtained from your data to align your business decisions with your objectives, your goals, and initiatives. Now, according to a survey of more than 1,000 senior execs conducted by PwC, 34% of them relied on experience and intuition when making their decisions, 25% of them on external advice, and only 33% of them used data and analytics to make decisions. And in the same study, it was found that highly data-driven organizations are actually 3 times more likely to report significant improvements in decision making compared to those who rely less on data. So there's clearly value in doing this. This was a poll from 2016 run by PwC. 3 times more likely to get significant improvement when you're using your data. That's a pretty big statistic there. And the latest estimates from Statista, it's an online website, puts the volume of data created every single day at 329 million terabytes. So it's never been easier for you to, as an organization, to collect, analyze, and interpret all your data into real and actionable insights. I'm not suggesting you create 329 million terabytes, but across all organizations, that's the estimate of how much data is created. So as an organization, we produce a lot of data, and it's really harnessing how we can take that data and turn it into something that's actually useful to us. Well, here's some examples in the real world. Lufthansa, so the second largest airline in terms of number of carried passengers, they need to use more uniform analytics, and using a very specific analytics platform, they wanted to figure out a way to increase their revenue. So they implemented a platform, and actually the outcome of that was they increased revenue by 30% across the company. And the reason for that was very specific data collection and analysis, followed by company employees using that to make data-driven decisions. Here's another big name you should recognize. And they had a problem around employee retention. Like they couldn't work out why some employees were staying longer and why others weren't. So being a tech company, they looked at ways they could go ahead and measure this. So they compared its employee retention rate with thousands of performance reviews to help them make some data-driven decisions. They did some in-depth analytics, And it helped them identify behaviors of higher performing managers who they then used to coach other managers to improve efficiency. And the results were in line with expectations, increasing from an 83% to an 88% in median favorability scores as an employer. So just by taking the data about higher performing managers and getting those managers to pass on their lessons learned, to pass on the things that they're doing and coach other managers, 5% increase in favorability scores across their employees, which is fantastic, right, for an organization the size of Google. So how do you go ahead and become more data driven? What can you do specifically and measurably as an organization? Well, there's a few things that you can look at. You could look at collecting, first of all, and analyzing your data. Like take observations, narrative, surveys, forms, any existing data sources and tools, and analyze them with statistical analysis, machine learning, AI, any other methods, and to use those to identify patterns. You should also define your metrics and KPIs because it's important to measure what matters to you. And that ties into the collection and analysis. If performance and progress needs to be quantifiable, and KPI should always be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound, the SMART acronym. So it's really important that, first of all, you are collecting the right things, but also you have defined what it is that you want to measure, because if you're not defining that, you can't be sure if you're collecting it. Visualize and communicate. So communication and visualization plays a massive role in working with data. Results for your analysis should be presented clearly and concisely. Visualizations like heat maps, graphs, charts, all of those tools can effectively summarize relevant information. And you can do all of that through tools like Power BI, Excel, and others, because they play a massive part in visualizing that data. And then finally, continuous improvement and optimization. So it's all well and good, collecting the data and showing it, but what are you going to do about it? Data-driven decision-making is an iterative process, and it requires continuous effort to keep going back and looking for more data and changes and updating the existing. And the consequence of that is enhanced effectiveness and productivity because you identify any bottlenecks or any shortcomings. So it's all about getting better. And what can this do? So what are the outcomes that you might achieve through making data-driven decisions? Well, we've looked at some real-world examples of the results of data-driven decision-making in Lufthansa and Google and others. Let's focus now on project delivery within our organizations. What's the impact of data-driven decision-making there? So data-driven decision-making in project delivery can give you numerous business outcomes that can help you enhance efficiency, reduce costs, improve project success rates. And here's some examples. Ensuring alignment to strategy. So alignment to strategy ensures not only that you're doing the right things, but you are doing, not only that you're doing things right, but that you are also doing the right things. Improved resource allocation and demand forecasting, analysis of historical data to better allocate resource, looking at the similar projects that you've run previously and what they consumed and how long tasks took historically, and then predicting future resource demands, allowing organizations to kind of hire or train staff proactively where you can see peaks of demand upcoming. So it's about taking your pipeline, layering that onto your existing portfolio, doing some portfolio analytics and management to make sure that you're looking at the right things, make sure that you can then pick out where you're going to need additional headcount. Risk management. So data-driven risk analysis allows organizations like yours to identify potential project risks and pick up mitigation strategies. It also allows you to have a look at commonalities. If you're capturing the right data about risks, you can identify trends and patterns. Are we typically coming across on risks aligned to, I don't know, organizational outcomes? Or are we consistently developing risks around scope? It can help you look at those patterns. With scheduling, data and analytics can help create more accurate project schedules, and it can bring in factors like task dependencies, resource availability, historical performance. With quality assurance, you can highlight quality issues, any information that's missing, or compliance with things like stage gate criteria. Very difficult to do unless you're capturing the data and using analytics to visualize that. And then knowledge transfer and lessons learned. Capturing project performance data and learning common lessons for future reuse on similar projects. So again, this goes back to the continuous improvement loop. Unless you're learning from the past, you can't get better at the future. So capturing this stuff, getting better from it, learning from it. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why you would do this, and these are some of the business outcomes that may be salient to what you do. So let's take a look at integrated tooling then. So what does that look like? Well, actually, integrated tooling can aid your data-driven decisions by centralizing and integrating your data. That means creating a centralized data repository or a data warehouse to store all your project-related data in a single place. I'm sure many of you have some form of data warehouse across your organization, but does your project performance data factor into that? Probably not. Analytics and visualization tools. So it can give you those mechanisms. It can help you implement ETL processes to extract, transform, load data from different sources into that central repository, or to your visualization tools directly to pull data together. It can give you a platform for collaboration, so you can use those data analytics visualization tools. You can connect those directly to the central data repository. You can get people to collaborate on those. You can look at integrating your communication collaboration tools like Teams with that project data and enable and empower people in the tools that they're used to working in to see that data. Keeps them in the flow of work that they're used to. Routine tasks and governance, so automating routine tasks and workflows through integrated tools. In the Microsoft platform, that might be something like Power Automate, using that to automate reminders, alerts, risk escalations. You can notify and put acceptances of those things through automation. And that helps you reduce manual data entry and processing required. Predictive analytics. So we've all heard the advent of AI. I'm sure everyone's heard the announcements from Microsoft at the beginning of this month around Copilot and how they bought a big chunk of the ChatGPT OpenAI framework, and now Copilot is in everything Office 365. So you can use those machine learning, those analytics models in your integrated tools to forecast things like project outcomes. So you can have a look at those tools. Copilot is going to be coming to a lot of the Microsoft project tools very soon. It's Ignite today, if you're not aware. That's the Microsoft big get together about all the announcements for all the platforms and what's upcoming. They'll be talking a lot about Copilot in everything. If you're not signed up for that, it's a completely free session. I would recommend you go and have a look. If you just Google Microsoft Ignite, you'll be able to find out how to sign up for those. And then data governance, quality assurance. So establishing data governance policies and quality assurance processes helps you maintain data accuracy and reliability. And then you can look to do things like automating those reminders, automating a lot of the the nudges that people need to get better at updating their data. So that's how we could look to adopt integrated tooling to help us in that decision-making process. So how could that look in PPM tools then? Well, our journey through Project Excellence covers some crucial stages, from prioritizing portfolios to simulating what-if scenarios, managing resources, ensuring that you've got financial alignment and coordinating project plans. And each stage of that contributes to your informed decision-making. And specifically, we can talk about something like a tool called OnePlan. So OnePlan is a partner of CPS's, and everything that we've talked about today around this informed decision making is available through the OnePlan platform. So it's a purpose-built portfolio management software as a service solution built in Azure. There's a whole bunch of capability here, which we'll go through. I'm not expecting you to read everything on this slide, by the way, but I will just talk through the next one. So capabilities, roles, process flow. OnePlan has capability around intake. So it allows strategic planners to look at aligning ideas to strategy. So it enables you to align projects to your strategic objectives and your key results to ensure that you're doing the right thing and doing the thing right. With ideas, it enables you to add value by having a single front door for all your work to be captured. So people can actually go and access this one tool and start adding their ideas. There is one place for people to put good ideas for projects. And you can triage those, and you can make sure they align to strategy, and you can make sure that, again, you're doing the right things. It also enables you to have a view of enterprise architecture, and that allows you to create plans and assess the impact of digital transformation. So it connects your strategy and your business capability back to your IT. For planning, we've got portfolio managers who might want to do things like portfolio planning, and that's considering all the work across the organization and its alignment to strategic objectives, making sure that you're prioritizing the right work and ensuring that you've got the resources and the funding that you need excuse me, to execute on the strategy that you've set. It allows you to do portfolio-wide capacity planning, optimizing your portfolio, maximizing allocation of your resources, and aligning the right skill sets to make sure that the most valuable resources in your organization are working on the right things at the right time. It allows you to have a look at investment. So estimating, tracking, forecasting your spend throughout the whole life cycle of your work, regardless of the type of work that it is. So you can track various cost types and categories to make sure you've got the flexibility that you need to manage the budgets and the spend across teams, whether that's capital expenditure or operational expenditure or any other categorization. The tools are flexible enough to help you do that. Around execution, we've got a few roles in here. So we've got plan managers, and they manage their work plans. So OnePlan has a work plan, and that can integrate with various project management tools. So you can use it completely standalone in OnePlan, or you can look to plan your work and manage your work in things like Planner or Project for the Web or Microsoft Project Desktop or DevOps or Jira or Smartsheets and a whole bunch more. So it allows your individuals to work the way they want to work, but gain visibility of all of that in a single platform. So that's exactly what OnePlan is meant to do. And that includes agile working. So we talked about Jira, we talked about other tools like that. So you can work in any of those platforms and pull it all together using OnePlan's One Connect system. For team members, we also have access to things like time tracking if you need to do timesheets, if you need to find out what effort people have actually spent on the things that they're working on, and use that to inform what's remaining in the planned effort and get them some visibility of the work that they're meant to be doing. So their day, my work, what are my projects, my tasks in those projects. And then in the delivery space, we've got things like status reports, dashboards, and data visualization. So all of these things are available to you again through OnePlan, through the use of Power BI. This is about making sure that you are seeing the right data. And then underpinning all of this in OnePlan, you have AI. So OnePlan uses something called Sophia GPT, which is a rebranded Azure OpenAI GPT module. And it's been developed by OnePlan to make sure that you can use large language models to train on your data, to ask questions and interrogate what's going on in your portfolio. Show me the top 10 risks by score across my projects. Show me projects that might need some corrective action. And these language models will understand the data that sits behind it and be able to provide you with those insights through natural language queries. So why might you want to use AI in strategic portfolio management? Well, in strategic planning, it can help you make data-driven decisions and forecast outcomes. It can help you optimize your portfolio, make sure you've got the right balance, the right mix of ideas and in-flight projects to deliver on the strategy that you want. It can help you do work management. So you can ask it, hey, give me a project or create me a project with tasks for constructing a new build house, for example. And it will go ahead and learn from the models, the data that you've already got and other data that's out there on the web, and create you a plan with some activities. You don't have to just use that. You can then use it as a starting point and learn from that. You could ask it, are there any lessons learned on similar projects that I need to think about? And again, it will go and interrogate your data and pull that back for you. It can help you look across your risks. So you can identify and mitigate potential risks. You can look at high priority things in your portfolio and understand those, again, through querying. It can help you organize and optimize resource across projects and teams. There are some modules in OnePlan that helps you smooth out your peaks and troughs. And it can help you do project cost, budget, and forecast management for your individual projects. There's a couple of case studies here about OnePlan. So hopefully you'll recognize that logo there. If you don't, just read the words. So Starbucks had some challenges here. They had limited visibility into their projects, resources, financial data, and they used spreadsheets massively. So OnePlan ran a business strategy workshop, and that provided Starbucks the ability to assess their current situation and, together with OnePlan, come up with a holistic project and portfolio management solution. And that was all on the OnePlan platform. OnePlan gave them the necessary portfolio visibility, resource management capabilities to help them run their business better. So they got some pretty good benefits out of that. Real-time consolidated view of all their projects, a single repository for their information, and they could take those spreadsheets and throw them away by using a simple single interface in a single tool to collate all that information together. And that enabled them then to start creating things like executive summary reports and dashboards. So takeaways. Here are my key things that you probably want to think about. Data-driven decisions consistently outperform gut feelings. We've seen that through the statistics, through the case studies that I've presented to you today. Remember that data-driven decision-making acts as a compass that guides us through some uncharted territories. Understand that your data is key. So it's important to make sure that you understand your data. It's important to make sure that you know that you're collecting the right things. It's important to make sure that you're measuring the right things as part of that. Learning from the past is a big one. It's that continuous improvement that we went through earlier. So it's not just about collecting the right things and making sure that you're doing things right. It's about learning from the past. What went really well? What didn't go quite so well? Are there key analytics that we can pick up from that and integrate? Looking at integrated tooling. So all well and good having some data in front of you, unless you've got tooling to make that journey easier by giving you strong visuals and maybe even using AI or ML to support that decision making. So yeah, looking at exploiting those technologies. Next steps. So we are around. We are not on stands 7 and 8. But if you want to talk to us, you can get in touch. So we have links to what our clients say about us. You can go and read our case studies. You can go and have a look on the OnePlan website if you're interested in any of that, and have a look at some of their case studies as well. We're a UK partner for OnePlan. So if any of what I've talked about today sounds interesting to you, please feel free to get in touch and we can set up a bit more of an in-depth interactive demo. We can set up free trials for you if you want to go and poke around the tools, and they're preceded with demo data and all that good stuff. We can help you get on that journey to really taking decision making in your data and pulling it all together to help you make better informed decisions. Or just get in touch with me about anything that we do. We aren't just a project partner. We're not just a OnePlan partner. We also work across everything Microsoft 365. So if you're interested in things like Viva, if you're interested in intranets, if you're interested in any of Microsoft 365's capability, please do get in touch. Any questions? Let me just open up the questions pane and we'll see what's in here. When will the presentation start, from Andrew? Andrew, I think you might have missed the presentation. It will have been recorded and it will be available on our website. So feel free to go and have a look if you happen to miss that. And a comment from Mark here. All too often organizations get fixated on metrics without considering the value. How do we suggest we focus on value at the decision point on identifying metrics? It's a very good question. So I mentioned earlier, it's about measuring what matters to you. And typically that involves working backwards. So what are the things that your execs need to make decisions to optimize the business? If you work backwards from there and you figure out what data helps them make those decisions, then you need to figure out what your metrics are to measure that. How can you give them the information that they need to shortcut that decision-making point? Hopefully that answers your question. If not, feel free to ask another or follow up with me. All right, well, I have time for a few more questions if anyone would like to ask them. If not, thank you very much for your time. I'll keep this call open for another couple of minutes and keep an eye on the questions section. Thanks very much, everyone, for attending. Feel free to ask away. No more questions? All right, well, thanks, everyone. I hope you got something valuable out of today's session. Great to speak with you all. Feel free to connect and yeah, look forward to seeing you on the next ones that we run. Thanks again.